That gets too
Okay.
close to the farmers.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the regular City of Prescott City Council meeting to order. It is Monday, March 13th at 6 o'clock. Do roll call. Bailey?
Here.
Maureen?
Here.
Dar?
Here.
Tom?
Here.
All right. Let's all stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you, everyone. So the next item on the agenda is public comments. The City Council will receive public comments on any issue related to the agenda. Limited discussion by the City Council may take place. Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the next item. This is a consent agenda. The City Council minutes from February 27th, Special City Council minutes from March 1st, Planning Commission minutes from March 6th, General Fund balances for February, cash balances for February, paid invoice report from February.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Okay, does anybody want to pull anything out of the consent agenda? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion approved. Next item on the agenda is presentation. Our K-9 officer Jesse, Neely, and Caesar are here to make a little appearance.
Pretty cool. He's so cool. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Tell us about your journey.
So, it started basically when we got a text, well, I got a text message April 1st of last year from McDonough K-9. It was something to the effect that, shh, your dog is here, do you want to come and get him? And Chief and I weren't ready for him until June when he was supposed to be here, towards the end of June. So I called Chief and he's like, what? He goes, this is a joke, right? I'm like, no, he's here. I gotta go get him. Down. So we weren't ready for him. And so I took my truck, which was my first brand new truck I ever bought, and headed up to Coon Rapids to pick him up. And then there was him and 3 other dogs in the van. And they weren't nice dogs like he is. And I asked him, I said, well, how do we get him out? I'm not. You are. What? I mean, what if he bites me?
Yes.
Don't let go. And so I reached in, I grabbed him, and not an issue. Brought him home.
And they already had him picked for you, obviously.
No, I didn't have any idea what we were getting.
Oh, right.
And so like I said, I got him in the truck. There was not an issue. He'd come up a couple times on the way home, licked my ear. Super gentle, super well behaved. Got him home. And I had a fold-up metal kennel for him, because that's all we had at the time. Shh. And he wasn't dog-friendly right away. He still isn't dog-friendly right away. Now him and our lab that we have at home, they're absolutely best buddies. It was kind of an adjustment when we got him, because we didn't have anything. We weren't ready for anything. But he's done well. Now him and Bruno and my son's dog, he's got a lab pup. They're all... My son was home for the last few days on leave, and they brought their dog. It was kind of living in a zoo with 3 dogs running through the house.
Sure.
And my 4-year-old and my grandson and everybody, but it's kind of mellowed out now.
And I think something that I asked Jesse when they were to come here was to make sure that Tina and Brooklyn came, because people don't realize the commitment that the canine, having a canine dog in your home is, but it's a commitment from the whole family. So thank you, and thank you for being here. And Brooklyn, glad you got to be here too. And then maybe talk about your first chase, which was really
Yeah,
cool.
we can do that.
Do we have video?
There is video, but we
No,
don't have
there's
it.
video out there, I can't get a hold of it.
So we officially went on the road after we got done with school, which is 3.5 months long. We officially went on the road the first part of December. A lot of pursuits were going on around us, but nothing around here. St. Croix had been in, Dunn and State Patrol had been in numbers of pursuits coming from Minnesota stolen cars. It was getting towards the end of my shift this one night, and in the squad car I have a divider where his kennel is, and I was sitting downtown, and I had the divider open, and I was just scratching his chin, giving him some attention, and I seen these two cars come across the bridge, and one was really moving, and it flew up Highway 10, and I was trying to catch up to it. Long story short, we ended up getting into a pursuit with this car. It was stolen out of Minneapolis. And through this pursuit, I'm not really sure how the divider came open, but anyways, we're chasing this car and Caesar wanted to come up front with me. So I had to put him back in the back seat into his kennel. And during the pursuit, they tried to ram me a couple times. They didn't, down. They ended up hitting one of our other squad cars, ramming one of our other cars. And Cottage Grove ended up spiking them, and then they ended up pitting him into the ditch. And when they pitted him into the ditch, I let him out to go get the two guys that bailed. And the snow was really, really deep. He closed the gap on them pretty good, and he didn't get any of them right then and there, and nobody was bit. But we did end up, I watched where they went. And then Minnesota, it was Washington County and Cottage Grove requested me to do him and I to do a track. And we were on the track going right to where they were, and then I don't know if it was because, and I never got a chance to ask him, if it was because he was coming or they just gave up, but both guys ended up giving up before we got to him. So, we ended up getting meth, crack, I want to say heroin, and a large amount of fentanyl out of that car.
That's awesome.
Quite a bit of stuff we got out of there. We had the car back in our garage, and the chief asked me, he says, why don't you just walk him by that car, see what he'll do. Because the reason I took the car was I could see all the drugs, well, not all of them, but I could see cocaine sitting in the center console. So I walked him by, and I had him on this leash here, it's my dope leash, and he walked over to the car, and he's what they call a passive indicator. He doesn't scratch, he starts to sniff, and then he'll just sit. Well, when Caesar is really on dope, he kind of arches his back, and he starts sniffing real fast, and he'll blow out his nose, and then what he does is he tries to shove his nose into wherever that odor is, kind of like punching it down. And anyways, that's like, yeah, there's dope in there. Well, then I can't remember who it was, wanted to see the car, so I was showing what the car looked like because it was pretty dinged up, and he just walked over by there and just sat down again. So he's got a real good nose for dope. He's been used a few times since we've been out on the road. We've been in a couple tracks. I have his toy, and that's what he wants. He listens better than most of the time. We've been involved in a couple of tracks. We've assisted Pierce County with it a couple times. They had a pursuit. We did a perimeter with him, and so he's been used a few times.
He's like, I know you have that.
He does. No. No. Yes. Down. So yeah, we're getting out there. We've done some vehicle sniffs and some tracks. He's been credited for, I want to say 12 or 14 canine assisted arrests. So if he's on the call and there's an arrest made, it's marked down in our system as a canine assisted arrest. So.
Wow.
Thank
Yeah.
you to your
Any
family for
questions?
taking him in, and
Yeah.
he's so pretty.
Yeah, if you guys want to pet him, you're more than welcome to. He's very sociable.
He is.
He was raised in the Czech Republic with a family. And when he came over, it took a little while for him to adjust to ours. It was only I think it was like a 2-day trip when they flew him over. But he's very sociable. He loves to play tug of war.
And he's a member of your family, it's official.
Oh, he blends in well.
How does he blend in up there, Eric? Does he? Okay.
Yeah, he's
That's
very,
good.
very good with the general public.
Well,
We
he
took,
will be very busy this summer.
we hope so. We hope
Rest
so.
up, Caesar.
Yeah,
We were down at the Prescott plunge, and obviously there's kids and everything down there, and they all were running up to him, and you try to tell the kids and to tell the parents, not to do certain things, but they don't listen. The kids or the parents. Oh. Oh.
But when he gets into work mode, he focuses.
Oh yeah. Out. Out. It's mine, not yours.
Well, it'd be nice to see him downtown this summer.
Yeah.
And mix him with
No.
the residents and.
Yeah, if there's any questions you guys have, just blast them in.
no, I think it's awesome. I'm happy that he's here.
Yep.
How old is he?
He's about 2.5. He was born September 26, 2020.
Okay.
And no, I didn't give him a steak or anything on his birthday this year, but he'll get one. Last year. He'll get one this year. So all my dogs get a grilled steak for their birthday.
Oh.
Right.
He doesn't have to share it.
No, he's not real good at sharing. He's not good at sharing at all. He kind of runs the house when it comes to the other dogs,
Oh, yeah.
He's pretty special.
Yep.
aren't you?
Thanks a lot for bringing him in.
Yeah,
Jesse.
Thank
no
you.
problem.
Thank you very
So,
much.
good work. We'll probably have you come in again sometime.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
God, his head is just massive.
I know it. It's exciting.
All right, the next item on the agenda is a public hearing. Discussion on the preliminary assessments for the 2023 Locust Street project, Orange Street to Walter Street. Want to take that, Craig?
Sure.
We have to open it? We have to open it.
Next slide. Do we open it, public hearing first?
Oh, yeah, discussion and then.
You can have the discussion and then open it once Greg's.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, there it is. This one? Yeah, actually, it'd be the second one. I might have to open that. This one right there. Okay.
Now we get to business, right?
So
Yeah.
this is the preliminary assessment plan for the Locust Street project. It follows, I think you have a copy of it. I just thought I'd pull this up here just so everybody can see it. But it follows the assessment policy that the city has had for several years. And generally, there are these schedules that are attached to that, which walk through the components of the assessment report. This is the map of the scheduled area. So it's a little hard to see here, but each parcel is identified in the frontage that is recorded at the county level. Their property descriptions are used for the frontage of the curb that abuts the street that's being reconstructed with curb and gutter. That would be then the distance or the length used for each homeowner. So you can see that this is a kind of a longer project, so the map is 2 pages. There's a comparison of the entire project cost relative to the assessments. I'll just kind of scroll through that very quickly. Schedule B is a calculation as to how the curb and gutter assessment is calculated, and it takes the components of construction that would be factored into a linear foot constructed cost of the curb. And this is how the city has done these for the last several street projects where assessments were used. The other item is sanitary sewer lateral. This isn't showing up really good. I apologize for that. And basically, there's a price per lateral that's derived from some of the anticipated costs, and we estimate the footage of that. So with that, the other thing in the report, it just describes the components of the other parts of the project that are included. sanitary sewer work, water main work, storm sewer and street construction, sidewalk, and describes those levels. Talks about, the driveway aprons that would be opening up to the street too. And basically the whole project cost and then what the assessment costs would be compared to that are detailed there. And it just talks about how the city's policy on financing that is derived. There is the schedule here, but I might see if I can open up the other file. That might be easier to see if I go back to here right now, and then this one is probably a little more clear. Ooh, a little bit too big. So this is Schedule C, which lists the parcel. I'm even having a hard time seeing this from here. Lists the parcel number, address. It lists the curb and gutter, whether it has a corner lot credit, if it's on a corner or not. And then the curb assessed price, and then laterals, and then that lateral assessed and total assessed price on the far right. With the preliminary assessments, it is preliminary, so the homeowners would not pay this at this time, because when construction is done and closed out, we'll know the exact footages of everything. And some of these laterals, depending on where they're crossing, it could be serving maybe the other property, so that'll be all determined as to exactly, if it is their lateral or not. It would either be a yes or a no type of thing there, and documented. And then the bid prices, I should say, would be used rather than my estimated costs, and then they would be adjusted. I'm hoping they would be slightly lower. That's usually what I try to go for. So that's kind of a summary of the report. I don't know if there's any other questions on the report, or...
Nothing on the report, just from us, so you can either pay it in one lump sum, or if it's not paid in a lump sum, you can pay it in installment type payments, but then you basically get charged a 2% interest. Okay, I just want to make sure I understood that.
And we also have it at any time. You can just come in after the fact and pay that lump sum, so you don't, if it takes you a couple of years and you say, okay, now I have the money to pay the lump sum or the remaining balance.
Okay.
You can do that.
And then the interest is obviously adjusted off of that.
So the amounts that are in here are just an estimate, that's not actually...
We're not in a public hearing yet, but we'll
get to that, Carol.
So I think that kind of summarizes that. If you had any other questions, though, if this is more the kind of just the presentation of the preliminary assessment report.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, after we open up the public hearing, if you guys have any questions, you please come to the podium, tell us your name, where you live, and then what your question is, and then we'll address that. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is to open up the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're in public hearing.
Hi, my name is Michelle Schulte. I live on 163 Locust Street South. You just talked about paying in a lump sum. Wondering, when are you estimating that payment is due? Or partial payment? And you mentioned a 2% interest, but if I read the information correctly, is that not 2% on top of the city rate?
Yeah, I read that as well. Let's clarify that. Where did I read it?
Right in the beginning summary.
Was it?
So the interest, correct, the interest is 2% on top of the interest that we're borrowing it at.
And we will be borrowing at 3 point something.
3.69, I believe it was, that's. what I-
So, yes.
So just to state it correctly, it would be a 5.69% interest, not 2% interest.
Correct.
Right, oh, there it is, yeah.
And when do the payments start?
So payment starts once we get the final notice out, which that still is going to be up in the air based on.
When the project is completed, probably be around December, we would probably be wrapping up the final assessment report.
When is the project to begin?
It will anticipate to begin early May.
So early May of this year, and payments are going to be due in December.
That's when I get the reports to the city, and I don't know.
Not due, it's in the process of calculating at that point.
So
in
once you get
December.
if you want to do one lump sum if you want to do one lump sum payment, it's 30 days after you get the final notice.
But you're anticipating after December of 2023 for that notice?
That's usually when those are completed, yeah, when a project, they usually get totaled up and put to the city at about that time, probably mid-December, I would guess.
Murphy's Law puts it right at property tax time.
Right,
Right.
usually.
Right. Thanks, Tom.
However, when it appears on your taxes, that would be, because if you decide to have it go on to your taxes, correct? Your property taxes, you wouldn't
If it-
see them appear into your property taxes probably until the next year,
Correct. If it's not due, if it's not paid when due, then it would be
correct?
placed onto your property taxes.
At a 5.69% interest rate.
Correct.
I don't think I have other
There
questions.
was one question I had in regard to that. It mentioned 12% being a cap. Is that true?
So
5.69 per annum, per year, in other words. So, and then there was in that, it mentioned 12%.
I believe that's what the unpaid balance at the end of the 10 years, you get the annum 5.69, and then on top of that, another 12%
Okay.
is placed.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Kay Reinhardt. I'm at 253 Locust Street South. And I was at the preliminary meeting and just kind of wanted to clarify. I saw in the estimate, I think it said 24 trees out, but I think originally when I was looking at the block, because we have a bunch of trees that the city put in. And unfortunately, last year, one of them grew into our sewer and we had to dig it up. So if you're gonna do it, I want to, those trees removed. And I think it makes sense, because I think you have the parking on that side of the road versus this side of the road, correct?
Kind of easier to think of east and west.
I know.
You have a northeast, southwest road. Yeah, the parking shifts on the north part of the street. It's on the, if you want to call it the east side.
Greg, we're not hearing you.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay.
The home audience,
Okay.
if you could join in up there.
I guess it's,
Okay.
yeah, sure. We can stand there
Thank you.
together, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
I can pull up, I have a big overall display too, if there are questions on the general project, that might be easier. I do have a large PDF of the whole display, if that's easier to look at.
Sure, go ahead.
Because I don't have it exactly totally in memory of where the, I also brought the key parts of the plans. I'm not used to using Adobe as much.
I'll drive Greg and you.
Oh, boy. Let's see here. Trying to get that zoomed in.
Better stay here. But yeah, there are trees removed for parking, and then some are also for water and sewer laterals, because many trees are right under sewer and water laterals, so and that is a problem. So you can see the X is there.
Can you find Kay? Is that your name, Kay's property?
Yeah, so where's 253 Locust?
253. It's hard to read those.
Oh, Carol. So we are,
Yeah, this is corner one, isn't it? Walnut, between Walnut and Ash.
oh, right here, yeah.
Yep.
It only shows this tree, right? These two trees?
Yeah,
But I think there's like the one that grew into our sewers, right, like probably in here. And then there's a couple more.
it is right here.
Yeah.
You would like that one gone?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, honestly, they could all go.
Okay.
Can you
Because I'd
put that
rather-
over here?
And we have a sewer on.
Please, because we have an audience listening.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So as far as I'm concerned, the trees in the boulevard could be gone because they're right by a sewer. We have one sewer that came out where the trouble was, and on the other side of the house, there's another sewer that connects to us, which I think there's a tree right in that area. And then you go into Gary Mo's property and then Carol's, and they're all kind of in a line. And I think the parking is on that side of the street, correct? On our side?
It is, yep. It is.
So, which would make sense.
Okay.
So, just wondering, because I saw there was like 24 trees, and I thought, I didn't know if that included them or not.
There's two of those, but we could, they are all are in the public right of way, so. Those-
Anyway, food for thought.
What kind of trees are those?
Do you know?
We identified them when we surveyed it, but I don't.
I don't remember.
Chances are they're probably ash.
I think most of them are ash.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
That was about the time of Mr.
Yeah.
Kittleson, and he was planting ash, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
So, I mean, to me, as long as you're gonna undergo it and you want to avoid problems
Sure.
in the future, I'd get rid of them, but anyway.
And
Okay.
that is by far the cheapest time to take trees out, because
Yeah.
they will cut that down and dig it out with a backhoe in about 8 minutes.
Okay.
I have one question regarding trees. Are these trees, let's say we weren't doing a project, and these trees developed a disease, emerald ash borer disease, would it be the homeowner's responsibility to remove those trees?
I'd have to look in the ordinances on that. I don't think it would be.
If it's within the right of way, then no, but if it's on the homeowner's property, then yes.
Okay, I just wanted to get that point out there.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, and then the only other thing that I can think of is, the parking on the one side, there was one more thing, I can't think now. It'll come to me, I'll pop up when I remember it, but,
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Do you want me to use over time in the meantime?
Carol Murphy at 285 Locust. I was just wondering if the assessments that we received were just an estimate?
I'll come up and talk to, they are a construction estimate, so that the frontage of your curb is taken from the dimensions from your parcel that the county has. That abuts the front of Locust Street, or the direction along Locust Street. So we're using construction unit prices that we have pretty good estimates of. But it will actually then be revised to be the actual bid costs attributed that made up that cost
So it
rather
could
than
be
my
up or down.
estimate. It could be up or down. I'm hoping it
Comes down.
would come down slightly.
Okay.
That's what I hope.
And I'm a tree thing too. I have 2 black walnut trees, and they are in the city, actually, they're in the right of way. And they will go down.
If I can, so you're.
I'm on the
at-
other end of the block, okay.
So you're across. the-
She's
We're
on the
both
next
corner
corner
lots,
this way.
yeah.
Yep. I'd have, I don't work with my left hand very well. There we go. There we
Other
go.
way.
Oh, other way?
Yep, right there, she's on the
Okay.
corner.
Okay.
So there, it looks like, yeah, this one here.
There's one right in front of the house, and then there's one on the other, right on the end of the property before Mo's house.
Yeah, it looks like those two have an X
Are
to
marked?
them. Yeah.
And then the other thing is this sewer line, I mean,
Yep.
from the last meeting. You talked about checking your own lines, and if we needed anything done, that was the time to do it, which I did because I've had some problems, so
Okay.
they've looked, and you have a tree growing into to the city part of it. And how do we know, because I have someone who's going to fix mine when
Okay.
you do that?
What, I'll be sending out notification letters after we get, the project will be awarded, I think, April 10th at that meeting. We'll have that contractor's information, and then I'll be giving that to people. What has happened in the past when there's a house that has a sewer lateral problem like this is a good time to do it, because the city project replaces the lateral from the sewer main to the right-of-way. And then the homeowner's cost would be, if they wanted to do it, would be from the right-of-way to your house. The general contractors aren't licensed plumbers, so they don't have that certification to go up to connect right to your house. So that's the time to do that. So what has happened in the past is, if a person knows they want to do that, they give me their information, I talk with the contractor, and then that plumber and the general contractor usually work out a time and kind of get roughly when they know it'll happen, and then they'll refine that down to a day or so.
And I believe it's Bettendorf that you use out of River
Bettendorf,
Falls, that I've
yes.
talked to him, and,
There's somebody else who wanted that. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I could not remember
oh,
his
good,
last
yeah,
name.
no,
Yeah,
But-
he's the one who came with ours.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's very
Because there's
good.
another
Yeah,
person,
he
and I
used
was
to
going to
work
give
with-
him that person's name, and I thought it was a different name.
Yeah.
I've worked Mike, right? Mike Bettendorf,
Yeah.
I think, yes.
because he said he'd do it, and then somebody else actually has to do the inside, he can only do the outside.
Right,
Okay.
yep.
All right,
Okay.
that answers that.
And then I have a question. It's in relation to that, because we had sewer and gutter done on Walnut Street. And they they had to use part of our sidewalk, so they replaced a section of it when they did it on the curb and gutter on the other side, because we're on the corner lot.
All right, so you're back over here, right?
Yeah, so this time, I'm just wondering,
Oh, this little piece here.
yeah, we're on that side where the curb and gutter already is.
So that's Walnut Street, so there isn't a reassessment of that little piece,
No.
if
But-
that's your question.
But at the time, we had a front sidewalk come out to the sidewalk. They put sidewalk in.
Oh,
So they
okay.
had to patch in a new part to our sidewalk.
Like right here, correct?
Yeah.
So this is
Yep.
Walnut.
So yeah, so they did a partial patch there.
Yeah.
So now the front side on Locust, they tore up the sidewalk, which they've seeded. Our sidewalk that currently goes to our house, ends in grass. And my question is, so will the contractor that lays the cement and curb and gutter, is that something we can work with them on to have them contract and relay or redo that, or?
Yeah, that.
I mean, that's,
It's never like an obligation that they have to do that, but they could certainly entertain
quote
it
us
if they
or
want
something,
to.
yeah.
And
Because
on-
now, it just seems stupid.
We are, in talking with the public works staff and city staff, they wanted the concepts to, it's like if there was a carriage walk that went out, that it would get reconnected or get connected to the curb. So, and I can't tell from here, does your sidewalk which go to Locust Street go roughly to the right of way, or does it stop?
It was all along the whole block of Locust.
Oh, okay, you meant the,
Yeah, and there is that little, that little curb is still there, but
okay.
where the sidewalk was on this side of the trees was dug up and reseeded and grassed, and we
Right.
have a big patch between that and the street now, so
Okay.
when they put the curb and gutter on, it would be nice if we could finish the sidewalk
Yeah.
to the street, so.
Yeah, but that happens quite often, you know, people will request, like if, similar with driveways, we match roughly at the right of way, but oftentimes we might have to go a little bit behind that to get the slope to work, or if there's a concrete panel we have to go back to.
Okay.
Anything beyond what the project limits would require would be similar, like if a homeowner wanted to coordinate with a concrete sub, and I can give that information.
Okay, perfect. That was the other question. I knew I had to
Okay.
remember.
Sure.
Sorry, I'm coming back. I had another question that came to mind when you were talking about driveway easements, and so we had a sidewalk on Locust Street.
Do you know your address?
163 Locust, so I am on your screen to the north, to the left on your screen,
Let's see.
all the way to just about Kenny.
Oh, here's Kenny right there.
Yep, yep. So actually, I'm on the far right corner over there, and right now I share an easement with the Lubics.
Oh, so are you right?
So he's the corner block,
Yep.
and I'm the next one over.
Okay.
And you can see where my sidewalk currently goes to nowhere, like she was mentioning when they took the sidewalk out.
Okay, like right here?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and I've had plans that are long delayed in opening up the driveway a bit, and I talked to someone with an email about, it was not you,
Okay.
but about the driveway easement. And Craig and I were also in conversations about trying to share an easement, and they said that wasn't possible because it wasn't within city ordinance, and I don't want to get too particular on special circumstance on this. But my question is, where the sidewalk was that they pulled out a few years ago, will the easement cover that? Because that is part of our current driveway.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah. In terms of easement though, I wasn't following you on that. Or do you mean the right of way? The.
Right, so if you see your dotted line for the right of way, you're about like, I don't know, a
Oh,
foot
yeah,
off
the-
from
yes.
where our
Yeah.
sidewalk used to
Yep.
be, right?
Yeah, and
So are you gonna cover that part, or do we need to hire a contractor to do that other business?
oh no, this would be part of the
Because,
project.
because where the sidewalk was,
It's like right here. Right?
well, it's still there between our property where you just pointed.
Right,
That
yeah.
part was never taken out.
Okay.
So we currently like clear all of that, and we were hoping that we would be able to keep a big easement, you know, between us, but understand it's not within ordinance. I'm just wondering, when they pour the new easement, are they gonna try and cut that concrete?
What would probably make sense then here would be where this, to separate it, I think when Carter had worked on this, he wanted this to be grass, so we could just take this out and plant this in its grass.
Yeah, we were kinda hoping that it wouldn't be grass, but,
Yeah, the issue that we ran into is that although the two property owners both want to have it connected now, ultimately, as we all know, properties buy and sell. So comes into maintenance because it is on city property, and we do have a requirement that all driveways have to be separated by 10 feet.
and there's not even 10 feet there, so.
Right.
Good luck with that, but, and then the other part is like the driveway opening, so, I wanna open that up a little bit so that I'm 2 cars wide the whole way through, and right now, I have a sidewalk that doesn't go anywhere. Because the Locust Street sidewalk was taken out, and like I said, I don't wanna get too particular on this, but I just wanna know, like, the basics of what I need to do in order to make sure that easement coming up to the
And-
driveway is the appropriate width.
Sure, and the
the city's ordinance, and correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, it allows for a 24-foot wide opening?
30.
30 foot
Or as much as
30.
30. Okay. And I guess well, you can see like Mr. Lubick here's an example. He had requested this width.
Right.
So that could get built as an apron, but the city, wouldn't, because it's an apron. And they would connect the new apron to where his existing or driveway is, but, the policy is to not build a wider private driveway for anybody, so.
Absolutely.
So-
But in
the
my
apron-
circumstance, it would be the same thing because I taper at the end,
Sure.
right? So I would just be wanting 2 car widths the whole way up.
Okay.
I'm just wondering what that process looks like in order to make that happen.
I think, like Carter had been kind of working on
Yeah.
that. I mean, if it were to go to 24 feet wide, it would widen it. It sounds like you don't want that sidewalk extension, is that correct?
I would not want a sidewalk extension.
Okay.
My plan would be to take that sidewalk out.
Okay, well then we would
So,
not put that in for you.
And if I need to work with Carter privately, I can do that.
The biggest thing that we're asking for when people are making these requests is that they're putting in a driveway permit and making sure that they're actually, because we don't want to be putting in an apron. As you can see from Mr. Lubick's property, it creates that weird kind of L shape where we're just putting in extra concrete to dead end into nowhere, and then people start trying to park on their grass, which is against city ordinance in your front yard. So I think I can talk to Carter tomorrow too. I know he was working with you, I think, to make sure that he.
Yeah, if you came by my house today, you can clearly see where I plow my grass and clear it from snow in the area that I'm talking about.
Yeah,
So
Sure.
makes sense.
Yeah, I could see
It
where.
follows the line.
there's a weird patch of grass. So I won't take up any more time in the
No,
meeting,
good.
and
Yeah,
work
and
with
we'll be-
Carter would be the best.
Sure, yeah, and then he's been sending us the consensus of some of the driveway changes.
Great, thank you.
I was
have
just
one
looking at
question.
her property and it
Sure.
is kind of funky where it's like if you were to push her driveway just out, just at the angle, it would just align to actually have like a straight driveway.
Yeah.
Right, that's how I'm
I was trying to visualize it and I'm like,
Yeah.
I finally pulled it up on
No,
map.
it's
so.
just trying to go straight out, because right now it veers with
Yeah,
the weird
it's-
sidewalk, and then there's an odd patch of grass, and
It's interesting, yeah.
It is weird.
I have one question.
Yeah, I don't, yeah.
In regard to Ms. Merkard's black walnut trees, there is a value in those trees. And if those trees were to get taken down, would the city be harvesting those trees and selling them to a lumber mill?
Well, can I just jump in there?
Yeah, go ahead.
I guess the one thing that we should state, because there's been a lot of questions about trees, is Greg has come up with a plan of the trees that need to be removed. I don't know if the city wants to start entering into business and taking down healthy trees that are not scheduled to be removed as part of a project. Although if that's the council's direction, that would be the direction I would give to Greg is. If the trees are not scheduled to remove as part of the project, and they're still healthy trees, that they should remain up until.
Absolutely.
Yep.
My point is if the black walnuts are determined that they have to go, and let's say there's a value of $1,000 a piece for them on a wholesale market from a logger, who's gonna get that money?
Currently, the way the contract would read, for tree removal, is they would cut the trees and they're probably gonna hire a tree consultant, sub-consultant or subcontractor who's gonna take them down. Or it could be the general contract, I don't know until we get their bid and all their subs and who's doing what, portions of the work. But they typically take care of getting rid of that, so
I guess the point I'm making is there's a couple $1,000s worth of gravy there, and a subcontractor just comes and saws them down, and then he hauls them down to Ollie's wood mill and
Sure.
takes the
It-
the cash.
If it was something that the city wanted, like say, things like old castings, an old fire hydrant, there are like, maybe Prescott might not have any of them, but there's some very collectible old hydrants, that only have the 2-inch port, and they're from like, they're very collectible, and a lot of times the city wants to keep that as a kind of a namesake or whatever. But I mean, that could be the case if you direct me to do that. I could say that those two would be, those logs would be left and
Honestly, I
salvaged to
guess
the
we,
city, but
I don't think I've ever run into that before, Tom. That's a good question. I think we'll probably have to figure that out, how we would handle.
it could be put into the contract, though. I could even put on the plan right there, logs to be cut to a 8-foot length and salvaged to city. We could certainly do that, if that's what
I
the
just,
city would like.
the point I'm making is, okay, if we retrieve the value of those trees, who gets the money?
Well, I would think that if it's on city property, the city would, if we were to, and if it were on the homeowner's land, the homeowner would be handling all of that anyway.
Right, and all the trees that are slated for removal are in the city right away, so it is from a, I guess, a ownership standpoint, that's clear, so. But that can be something we could work out here in the end here. It's a good-
Cooley River Trails is also looking for longer sections of trees with the bark removed for their skills park, just FYI. So maybe we
I
take
just
the
have to
black
say
walnut and
something.
use it for that.
Sure.
After waiting 45 years to have curb and gutter put in, having my sidewalk ripped up, a promise of it going back, and all these things, then you're gonna make money off of my trees that I planted. That's kind of bizarre. I mean,
Come up here
really,
to
just
the
think,
podium,
Get it,
Carol.
Carol, come on up here.
I mean, it's
Planted them-
really almost.
If they were
quite
planted in the
ridiculous.
city right away,
Yeah.
they become city
Well,
property.
the sidewalk or nothing's been any, really, seriously, 45 years I've waited for curb and gutter in there. Our streets are flooded constantly, there's holes, I mean, it's more than 45 years. And now you want to make money off the trees I planted in there after you tore up the sidewalk and didn't put sod in or grass. I mean, it's just been a proverbial mess, and the street's a mess. I mean, it just kind of
Most of the time, I will
sounds
say
kind of
for
ridiculous, but I just had to say that,
So
that's all.
I've done development before, and I will say that usually it's kind of like okay, yeah, get rid of it, because a lot of the time people just don't want to deal with it, so it usually just goes.
I just spent $3,000 last
So,
year cutting down trees and
yeah.
cleaning up my yard, and those two were trimmed, and I pick up the walnuts every year, and I have to worry about it.
I got a black walnut, it's always constant with
We'll cross
picking
that
them up.
bridge when we get to it.
Yeah, that's just kind of, and I don't think you're right, because I had some other walnut trees taken down, and I was told they really aren't worth all that much. Because they
Okay.
have to be milled and all this stuff.
Yeah.
They could maybe go to CRT for the skills park, though. We just have to take the bark off of them and let them dry. Nice hardwood.
Any other comments from the
Just saying.
public? Any other comments from the council?
Motion to come out of the open hearing?
Second that, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion, a second to come out of close the public hearing. Is there any discussion on the motion? Not all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, motion carried. Okay, the next item on the agenda is approval of the preliminary assessment report and authorized project to bid for the sale for the 2023 Locust Street project.
I'll make a motion to approve the preliminary special assessment report and authorize project bid for the 2023 Locust Street project.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the preliminary special assessment report. Is there any discussion on the motion? Not all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, thank you. Next item is reports of standing committees. Nothing for finance. Planning Commission. I'll give you a little heads up on that. Get back to the. So we've been talking about the zoning ordinance for quite a while now, for zoning code review, chapter 635. We've had a couple of meetings on it. It's covering R2, R5, R1 district, lot coverages, setbacks, setbacks between single-family dwellings, multiple family dwellings, sizes for lots for duplexes. So we've been going over that. I think his name's Bob Colson. He's been coming in and he's been doing all the changes. And I believe we still have a couple more to cover.
Correct, yeah, there's still some accessory structures, landscaping, and
So it's been really involved. I mean, it's covered just about everything you read in your minutes from the last couple of meetings. It's pretty involved. They've done a lot of work on it, Carter and Bob and Matt. So, but it's an ongoing thing. With C2 permitted uses, I3 districts. So it's going to be a lot of big changes. And once we get it all done and rolled up, then we'll bring it back forward to the council. Any questions? I mean, you should probably watch it or, review it or something if you're really interested on all what happens, because we covered a lot of material, and a lot of them are minute changes, but yet very necessary changes. So then the next Planning Commission meeting, Monday, April 3rd at 6. Parks and Public Works, next meeting's Monday, March 20th. Health and Safeties, Monday, May 8th. Personnel,
Mayor, we changed that.
Yeah. So we're going to have a special meeting in April. We just met tonight, and we met with a lot of, several individuals from the Prescott Days Committee, I believe one person from the chamber, and we're having discussions in regards to whether or not to close Broad Street during Prescott Days. So we're moving forward in kind of having maybe an alternative rather than closing Broad Street. Have double Q as an alternate for people to drive around Broad Street during the day of Prescott Day. It's just that Saturday. And they're going to work with the sheriff and see if that's an option. And then we'll have a meeting in April and see if we can come to some sort of determination as to maybe a different option. The biggest concern, there's several concerns from our police chief in regards to safety and wanting to make sure that there's ample parking, but that people are able to maneuver around safely if we were to keep Broad Street open. Of course, one of the bigger issues is when Broad Street is closed off, the current route or detour is literally going straight up through town. And we've just had significant complaints over the last few years. And during that Saturday of Prescott Days, the traffic is just phenomenal that ends up going through town rather than, going down Broad Street to 35.
okay. And so when are you going to have this meeting? Or
We're not sure
haven't
yet, but we're
decided yet?
hoping it's in April. We're going to come up with a date.
I think April 10th, although, however, we are giving Prescott Days the opportunity to contact Pierce County and Oak Grove Township to discuss this alternative route. So once we hear back from them, that will be the ultimate deciding factor when it's rescheduled or for a new one.
All right, thank you. Okay, then personnel, next meeting is Wednesday, May 3rd. Communication and new business. Public comments, city will receive public comments on any issue not related to agenda item. Limited discussion by the council may take place. However, no action will be taken on any item, excuse me, including receiving written requests or documentation and possible action at a future consideration. Hearing none. Next item is Resolution 18-23, approving the purchase of 1 server Badger book and 3 client Badger books at a cost of $8,540.95. This is for the court, is that correct?
This is for the city for elections, so I'll turn it over to our city clerk, Rochelle Timmers, to speak more about it.
Okay, so I'm kind of jumping in on what Jane had already done some research on. The state of Wisconsin is looking to possibly move elections to electronic form now. Instead of when you come in, you have to show an ID, sign the poll book. Now it's, they've got a lot of municipalities that are doing it electronically. So honestly, you don't even really, you bring in your ID, but you sign in on basically a notepad, and you actually do your voting on this notepad. And all of this information is sent directly to the state of Wisconsin. So there is no more paper. So we're trying to get Prescott into what relatively the 21st century here and join the club of doing a lot of things without paper. Honestly, with this, there is no need for paper anymore. Like I said, everything is done. You come in, you sign in, you vote, all on a notepad.
How is this validated? So I'm on their website right now, and so it says we got how many books we're gonna get? 3 client Badger books. We're gonna have 1 server Badger book, but none of it's connected to the internet because it's not supposed to be, but then we're communicating everything back to the state. How?
It's done by the internet.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have, so that's.
Which
the-
is, yeah,
The
that's a
server is,
problem.
so when Beth and I are actually doing anything with the election, we have a specific sign-in with the state of Wisconsin. It's done by internet, but it's all very secure. There's no possible way that anybody else can get in on it. So while I'm in there doing things or sending things to the state, the election commission, there's nobody else that can get it. It's like the PD when they're in doing their tracks uploads, downloads, things like that.
Just like their own VPN.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Just-
I could tell you stories, but anyways, yeah, keep going.
Okay.
Just, sorry, Rochelle, just to be clear, there's still a ballot that they fill out.
There would not be.
No,
Okay.
that's
No.
where I'm like, I'm hesitant, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah,
For that
but-
to be our only option and not have both.
It wouldn't be we can still do paper if, I mean, not, like you said, not everybody's into all of that.
I
And for
only
the
do
first couple
paper.
elections, I honestly
Yeah.
would like to do paper and the poll book, just to make sure everything's, I'm old school myself, I like to have paper tracks.
Yeah, and paper tracks allow you to do comparisons back to signatures.
Right.
Right.
And we would no longer be counting locally then, at the end of the night?
We would still have to run a report. So we would have, however many people came in to vote, we would still have that report at the end of the night. But all that information is sent directly to the Wisconsin Election Commission.
The last time we voted electronically, there was a ballot that you could see that was a paper that rolled, it scrolled.
Yep, we do have one electronic machine. You do get a ballot that you put into the machine.
No, the last time I voted on the screen, but
Yeah.
there was a way to see it right there. My final votes were all recorded.
So the big paper ballots, we have the big machine that after you fill in your circles, and you slide that ballot into the machine.
Yeah, that's the way we voted last time.
Yep,
But
yep,
before, when
we'll
we
s-
tried out electronic ballots, we had screens that you could just do it on the screen, but there was a place, once you cast your ballot, you could see it in this little window.
Yep, we still have that we still do have one electronic machine.
Okay.
That you actually place it slides a ballot in. We hand you a thinner, smaller ballot that you slide into the machine. You do everything electronically, and it spits that piece of paper back out so that you can put it into the poll machine.
Oh, that's not what I'm thinking
Because
about.
this says it's not voting equipment, that it's literally just to check people in.
And
On
it's-
the state of Wisconsin's, Elections Commission's website.
So we wouldn't be voting.
That's what this says, but that's not what I'm hearing.
It is a voting machine.
Why don't we figure out some more information, we'll bring this back.
Yeah, this is kind of a sensitive topic, I guess, for me
Yeah.
at least, and I think for everybody, just because it's,
I made a phone
Lots of
call to the
questions.
state election commission to ask some of these questions, because I have direct experience with uploading, in this case, it was terrain awareness data for aircraft, for
Yeah.
commercial aviation. And they didn't want any internet access or
Right.
any of that. And so I was
Yeah.
going to a website and downloading that information in the form of files, putting it on a smart card or on a thumb drive, and then sending those out to all the stations worldwide for Delta Airlines and Northwest Airlines. So I wanted to ask somewhat of the same questions of them. How do they update
they're,
the notepads
Yeah.
that they get?
they're web.
And that's exactly how they do it, is going to a encrypted, secure site and downloading the information directly onto the pads to keep any possible monkey business from going on. So I was satisfied with the answer, but there are people right now that are making a very big deal about showing that they aren't satisfied with any form of computer touching on voting.
I think it's because a lot of them have been hacked. They've gone to actually expos.
Well, a lot of that is.
I mean, anybody can hack a
partisan
VPN.
too. There's a lot of partisan stuff going on that level.
Call it what it is. Either way, people are able to hack it.
Not if it's encrypted. That.
Sure.
No, you can, I mean, I think if it's encrypted, I mean, we use
This has
secure
been vetted
encrypted
at the
sites.
state level.
So this is not a certified program per the feds. This is not. There is no certification to validate this program right now, according to this.
There's, are the feds certifying one?
Says the federal certification standards currently exist for electronic poll books. Some states have implemented their own certification standards. Badger books are not voting equipment and no standards apply. So it's an uncertified program.
Well, I would like to table this until we get more information. Or,
As usual, I'm more concerned about the money thing.
I would just like to have
And,
both options. Like, I don't want to just say we're going to go to one. I think that's my biggest thing. If people feel like they want to use this because it's more convenient for them, I don't care. But I want to do, when I go to vote, I want to be able to do paper personally. That's just me. So,
And I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
there's a lot of places that still do both.
yeah.
Because my guess is communities like Milwaukee, Madison, Oshkosh, once again, not everybody's going to want to vote electronically. So you'll have to leave that option open.
Yeah, if that's what we plan on doing, because getting rid of
Yeah.
it altogether and not doing even the paper check-in, I don't know if everyone's going to be okay with that lives.
And this is
Right.
obviously
One
isn't
of-
for the April elections. This
One
is
of
for
my
now, 2 years
thoughts
out.
No.
on this was, and getting back to the money, is why don't we just hang out and wait until we get a situation where the state may pay for it?
Yes,
So
Larry?
state pay for the Badger books, you're saying? Because they're gonna require it? Yeah.
Hi, Larry here. I live on Locust Street next to Tom, and I gotta say, I concur with Bailey. The description from their website says that this does not interact with voting or voting equipment in any way whatsoever. But the only thing I could think of why you might need to have a system in place like this is in case at the very last minute on voting day, the state wants to kick people off the voter rolls. That's what this is for. Because once those books are drawn up, it's on paper. It's pretty much set. But, you know, if at the last minute they want to say, nah, Bailey's not qualified to vote anymore, they can do that instantly with a system like this. I think that's what it's for.
We are.
I don't think so.
Paranoid.
Sorry.
I mean, I think
I
that's a
disagree.
real possibility, given some election commissions.
So why don't we push this and we'll get some more information and we'll bring back this resolution to next. I think you need a first and a second and then a vote on it.
I need a motion for that.
She
I think
motioned
you
to
motioned
table.
to table it. I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Good discussion.
Yeah.
Next item on the agenda is approval of assignment and assumption agreement between the City of Prescott, Prescott Holdings LLC, and Chambers Self-Storage Prescott LLC regarding the stormwater maintenance agreement. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. So as part of the approval at 1045 Oren Road, Prescott Holdings LLC came forward for approval for our storage building that came through Plan Commission and then Council that was approved. At this time, they are looking to sell their land to a third party, which is called Chambers Self-Storage Prescott LLC. As part of our original agreement with Prescott Holdings LLC, we require them to sign a stormwater maintenance agreement. So they're having a substantial stormwater pond in the rear of their building that actually holds not only their runoff, which there would be the largest, I believe, user as part of that pond, but also additionally some surrounding properties are also running into that. So as it is on their property, we require that maintenance agreement. So now, as part of their sale, they are looking to pass on the assignment and assumption of that agreement to Chambers Self-Storage Prescott LLC. We did have our city attorney review the agreement for just to make sure there were no concerns from a legal standpoint about any opportunities for this third party that might be able to get out of this agreement. But our city attorney did say they have no concerns and that it will fully assign this stormwater maintenance agreement that's recorded with Pierce County to this new owner as well. So with that, we are bringing to council for approval, and I will stand for any comments or questions from council.
I make the motion to approve the assignment and assumption agreement between the City of Prescott and Prescott Holdings LLC and Chambers Self-Storage Prescott LLC regarding the stormwater maintenance agreement.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the assignment and assumption agreement between the City of Prescott, Prescott Holdings LLC, Chambers Self-Storage Prescott LLC regarding the stormwater maintenance agreement. Any discussion on the motion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have no closed session. Other business, we still have an open seat for the City Council from Ward 4. We are looking for someone to come forward from Ward 4 to fill our void. So please,
if you
step
don't-
right up, come up here to City Hall and tell them that you want to be a write-in vote. We'll be happy to accompany
And
you.
if you don't know what ward you're in, give us a call, or you can look online, but we can help you figure out what ward you're in.
I have an announcement.
Go ahead.
Freedom Park is looking for volunteers, so if anyone would like to volunteer at Freedom Park, if you sign up before March 31st, your name will be placed in a drawing for a gift certificate that you can spend in town, so.
What kind of volunteer?
They're for the front desk.
For the front
We
desk.
had over 16,000 visitors last year with people from about 59 different countries. So if you like to talk to people and you like to meet people from other countries,
It's a fabulous view. fabulous view.
Yes, so
Okay,
I did my civic duty.
any other business?
Motion to adjourn.
Second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
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 We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.